Hi, welcome to Fire Mountain Gems and Beads Live. I'm Patty. I'm a jewelry designer here at Fire Mountain. And today I'm going to be talking to you about organization. When you're working with jewelry, you have a lot of little stuff. And to me, when you really get your space organized, you can find your tools easily, you can find all your findings and beads easily, your creativity just flows better. And so I'm going to be going through some tips, tricks, hacks, and different methods of getting yourself organized. So first, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here with us today. This is so much fun for me to get to bring you videos like this. I really love to do this. Please hit the thumbs up on the video if you're enjoying the content. That really helps other people out there get to have this experience too. We all could use a little more organization in our lives. I know that when you're, kind of an artsy person and you're a creative type like I am, sometimes getting organized is kind of difficult. I happen to be kind of like balanced on my left brain and right brain, and so organization is something that I love. So I'm really fortunate that way, and I just want to share it. If you could also put any questions that you have as we go along in the comments. I'd be happy to answer your questions live. And if there's something that I can't answer, Melissa, our lovely social media person, will jump in and help you. So first, I want to talk about Facebook Live in general. We are going to be doing lives every other week from now on. So our next live is going to be on the 22nd. So you can look forward to seeing us every other Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific time. Okay, well, let's start with some of the organizational tips that I have for you. Tools are a big part of putting your jewelry together. And so I want to talk about organizing your tools in a way that takes up the least footprint possible, just the least space in your space, while making them still really accessible. To me, tools are helpful if they're easy to get to and easy to see, easy to grab when I'm working. So when you're working with jewelry, a lot of the times you're working with pliers. I know as a wire worker, I have a ton of pliers. And so that's one of the main things that I like to just have a specific way. But there are a lot of different ways to do it, and I'm going to show you some of the methods of organizing your pliers. So the first one I'm going to show you is a really, really simple wooden rack. It's just a block with a number of holes in it. They're pretty decent size, so you can get something as large as, say, your Weber's in here. And it holds quite a few pliers. And I like this because you can see the head of the pliers. A lot of times people store their pliers upside down and all you see is the handle. And so while I'm in the middle of working, say if I want my round nose plier, they all look identical. And so with this kind of a system, the head of the pliers is visible, so I can just grab my round nose and get to work with those. I really like that. All of the plier systems I like have this kind of a setup. So I'm going to set that one aside. Here's another really good simple one. If you have a favorite little group of pliers that you use all the time, as a jewelry designer, you're often using your chain nose, your round nose, your flush cutters, a couple other just basic pairs. This is a really nice small one where you can just have this right in front of you. It also has a spool tamer here, a spool keeper here, where you can put spools of, say, AccuFlux or stringing material, whatever you want to put. Also, if you have some shorter pliers, you can take the spools off and put another row of shorter pliers here. So that's also really nice. Let me set that aside. And there's a couple more. So this one is actually my favorite. It's a very simple plastic, inexpensive A-frame. I think it's somewhere around $5. Really inexpensive, and you can put a lot of pliers. You can see I have 7 pairs of pliers on this one. If I wanted to put more, I could squish these together and double that really easily. Doesn't take up much space, real simple organizer. I can see everything I need to see. Really, really like this. I actually have this on my personal desk here at Fire Mountain. And there's one more I wanted to show you. Looks like it fell over here. Sorry about that. This one is really great. It holds a lot of pliers and in different sizes. So the thing to know about this plier rack, it's very sturdy, it's very durable, it's not going to break, it's going to last forever, literally, figuratively. There are different size slots here. So if you have, say, your Lindstrom pliers, which are fairly wide at the base, it holds several of those. And then it has a more mid-range handle size slot where you can put more mid-range. And then it has smaller slots here at the other end where you can put your smaller pliers. The really nice thing about this particular rack is there are these little holes in the top. And you can mount this on your wall. You just put a screw through that with a wall dog probably. And you can hang it on the wall so it takes up no footprint on your desk. Or you can just stand it up. I actually have it standing against the wall on my desk. Really, really nice plier system here. So those are all my favorite ways to organize your pliers. Hello to Fran Young. Hi, thank you for being with us, Fran. Hi, Tina from Kentucky. Hi, Kim from Michigan, and Maricel, what a pretty name. Is it Kava? Says, aloha, very nice to have you here from Hawaii. Debbie from Canada, hi. There's a question, is there a way to sharpen jewelry wire cutters? That is a really good question. I think it might be possible to take it to a professional sharpener. You can try that, someone that would sharpen your knives or scissors. I don't know of a tool where you can sharpen them yourself at home. I would be very careful, especially if you have better quality cutters like a Lindstrom or a Tronics. You really don't want to ruin the edges of those. So you could try using a knife sharpener. I replace my pliers when they get too dull. But if you have a good quality cutter, they'll last a really, really long time. So you can try it. I would give a call to a knife sharpener and see if they can do anything for you. But honestly, when they start to wear out, I replace them. It's really why I suggest getting a good quality cutter to start. If you're doing a lot of jewelry, that's really one of the most important tools to have is a good flesh cutter. They do last a long time. Now, when you're using your flesh cutters, if you have a good quality one, make sure that if you're using really heavy gauge wire, say, 14 gauge wire or something like that, maybe even 16 gauge and up, and larger than that, I would use a heavy duty cutter on that so you don't dull out your really good pliers that you're using for your smaller gauge wire. Also, don't use them on memory wire. There's a special cutter for those. Let's see here. And we have Miriam from Australia. Thank you, Miriam. It's nice to see you here today with us. Okay, let's look at some more different types of organizational tips and tricks here. I want to show you some of the little things because the little things make a big difference to me. One of my very favorite organizational tips is this. It's a nail polish remover bottle. Very simple. It's a local dollar store find. And it's got this little tray in here. So you just take your cotton pad or your cotton ball and you have it filled with alcohol. Pump it down a couple times and you can clean up your glue or anything that you need to clean up quickly. I can keep this right on my desk. The footprint's very small. I don't have to have the big alcohol bottle and I don't have to worry about undoing it. I actually take my nippers and I nip off this lid because I never use it. But if you want it to be portable, you can keep the lid. These cotton pads are another great local dollar store find. Really, really great for cleaning up glue, for cleaning up fingerprints. You know, the details in your jewelry are really important, so when you're gluing, you often have just a little bit too much. And so quickly swiping it away with some alcohol is a great thing. And this is just a tower, so you just stand it up here, it just takes up this little footprint on your desk. So that is a great little organizational tip. Talking about gluing, you know, a lot of times people will get special little cups or paper plates or paper bowls to mix their epoxy. I do use a lot of epoxy in jewelry. It's important. Instead of doing that, my little trick is to just have a sticky note pad. Very, very simple. You just take your toothpick, mix up your glue on this pad. It just takes up this little space on your desk, and then you throw away the sheet when you're done. It's very economical, fairly green. You're not throwing away a lot of plastics. I really like that. As well, talking about glue, this great toothpick holder is a Rose find, one of our other jewelry designers here. I absolutely love this. You put the toothpicks in there, they don't spill out, get around, and you just shake it and one comes out. So another great local dollar store find. Couple other just ways to sort small tools on your desk. This is a really, really simple desktop organizer. You can use a cup, any kind of cup type instrument to hold all of your things that aren't going to go like in your pliers holders, but you want to have real close access to them all the time. I keep several of these on my desk with different tools kind of grouped together. So I've got my burnishers, I've got my bezel roller, my bezel pusher, you know, little ruler, some tweezers all together. So whenever I need something, I just grab that off the desk. So cup type containers for, you know, kind of long, tall tools are awesome. Here is a really fun idea, okay? So this is just basically a sponge, just a simple sponge. And if you have sharps, and you know, like this awl is quite a sharp tip. There's got a couple of different ones there. This is a really great way to store these. It keeps you from getting stuck. You know, when you have them in a tray and you want to grab them out, it's really easy to get stuck, and we don't want you bleeding. So this is a really lovely way to store those. You can also, if you have really small files, you can store them in there as well. Okay. Hello to Sherry from Arizona. Thank you for being here. Hi, thanks for sharing this video. Hi to Fran from Ohio. Okay, let's look at what else we have. So this is something that I keep on my desk. It's called a chainstay. And it's to help you string necklaces. It's a really great little tool. So instead of just leaving the chainstay on my desk, you can also see that on the side here I have the little eyeballs. I think it looks like a dragon. I really do. I call this my two-headed dragon playing fetch because I have this skewer in there, and I take all my clamps, my little clamps, which I use all the time, and I just clamp them on here, and it's just on my desk. And when I'm doing a project, if I all of a sudden need a clamp real quick, I just grab it off the chainstay. So this is a really great way to organize your clamps, a little skewer like this. Use your imagination. There's other things that you can use, but I do recommend having a chainstay. It's a great tool. Okay. If you came a little bit late, if you missed the beginning of the video and you want to make sure and see all the tips and tricks on organization, we are filming this video so you can go back and watch the whole thing from the beginning. So if you missed something, don't worry, you're not going to miss out. Okay, hi Kathleen from Portland. Thank you for being with us here today. Let's look at some more pieces. So when you have long tools, you know, you're often going to put them in a drawer. But I just go crazy when there's a lot of stuff rolling in my drawer and I want to find something and I can't find the right thing. That just drives me nuts. So here is a really simple idea. This is just a silverware sorter like you'd have in your house. And I like to sort like tools together in my drawers. So I have all of my ring implements here. I've got my ring sizers, I've got my ring vise, my mandrels, a tool for sizing. I've also got a bracelet tool in there. But this is a really great way to organize tools in your drawer, especially if they're longer or a little oversized. But you can still find them really quickly. This is just real inexpensive. It was $1 at a local dollar store. I love things that get me organized, but are inexpensive. You know, sometimes you really want to pay for your organizational tools because you have things that are really going to help you. But then sometimes you just get imaginative and you find things that are for another purpose and you kind of reinvent what they're for. Okay, so we posed a question to you on Facebook and Instagram. And if you don't follow us on Facebook and Instagram, we'd love it if you follow us. Please just hit that follow button. But we posed a question just recently and asked, how do you guys organize? Because we want to know. Co-creativity is the best way to come up with really good solutions. So we asked, do you organize your beads by color, shape, or by size? And we got some really interesting answers. So I wanted to let you know what the results of that were. It looks like the majority of you organize your beads by material, so like wood, glass, crystal, that kind of thing. And then after that, you'll organize them by color. Some people further organize by also shape and size. There were some really interesting answers that I wanted to share with you too. So Rebecca Sampson Scott also keeps her seed beads separate from her other beads. Seed beads are sometimes very bountiful. It's something you have a lot of. And so keeping those separate is actually a really good idea. At Fire Mountain here, we do keep our seed beads separate from our other beads too. And we sort them by the type of seed beads. So we keep our delicas together, we keep our rokais together, we keep our tohos in one place, and then we sort them by size and then by color. But that is a really good idea to keep those separate because they are so little and there's so many of them. And often, if you're a seed beater, you want a lot of colors and sizes. Okay, so Louise Kane said something really interesting. Now, she sorts her beads by major categories. So she starts with either glass, natural, or crystal, and then further sorts by type, like seed, stone, wood, that kind of thing, and then by color. So, there's a lot of different ways to do it. I hope this is giving you some ideas that'll help you. Sarah McAfee had a really interesting idea. She actually sorts hers by shape first, and then by color and size. So there's just so many different ways to do it. Personally, I do it a little bit different. I keep my crystals separate, and I then sort those by size and then color, and I keep them in their own containers, kind of like this little snap container. So I just pick up this, and I know all of my 6 millimeters are in there. I pick up this, and I know all of my 4 millimeters are in there. It's just what works for me. And then all of my other beads, I actually sort by color first. And the reason being is that I really love to mix my different types of media. So I love to mix gemstone with glass or with wood. So if I just pick up a container, I don't have it right with me, I'll show that in a minute. I can pick up a container and everything in there is red, and I can just throw different things together, and it works really, really well. It just sparks my creativity. Okay. Martha Groover also sent in a really interesting comment when we were asking this question. Often when you're storing beads the containers that are meant for storing beads are a little too small. If you look at containers like this is actually a pretty good, generous size bead container, but if you look at it in the palm of my hand, they're not very large. So if you have beads a little bit larger than that or in more volume, she actually stores hers in spice bottles. So imagine having a spice rack and put all your spice bottles with your beads in there. It's a great storage solution. Thank you, Martha. I really appreciated that suggestion. That was great. I might actually employ that myself. Hello to Liz from Missouri and Alice from Florida. Hi to Kelly. Kelly asks, how do you use a chainstay? Okay, this is so much fun. So I'm just going to grab my chainstay and take my little skewer out of there. So this is a chainstay. See if we can get a close-up on that. Great. So this stands up on your desk, and there are these two little points here at the top. So if you have chain that has holes in it, you put one link of chain over this little spike, stand it up, let it drape, and then put another link on this spike. And that helps you center your beads so you actually have your chain hanging while you're attaching all of the different elements that you're attaching to your chain, if you're attaching that way. Now, if you have another kind of chain, you can also use these little, see my little dragon's playing fetch. Two-headed dragon, I love him. Okay, so that's how a chainstay works. It's just a great tool. I love it. Valerie uses fishing boxes. Yes, tackle boxes are an awesome way to store. I have one back here. I'll be talking about it in a minute. You know, sometimes what you use isn't what it was originally made for. You know, you use found objects for different things, and I love being able to utilize things that way. Fran uses pencil boxes to keep tidy and dust-free. That's also a really good idea, Fran. Thank you. Lisa uses mason jars and then by color. Oh, that's a really good idea. I have never thought of mason jars, but that could get really interesting, especially if you have a really good shelf system to organize those. So thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that. Okay, so I also wanted to tell you about Rose's favorite organizational tips. I asked Rose, who is another jewelry designer here, with her years of experience, what does she like to do to organize her findings in her jewelry? And so here are Rose's top 3 organizational tips. The first one is to hang her finished necklaces. She has a lot of necklaces. Rose is kind of a jewelry hound, just like me. And so her favorite tip for storing her finished necklaces is to use wire shelving, kind of like the closet organizers that you see, the white wire shelving. So she likes those wire shelves, and then she uses S-hooks, and she hangs those from the shelves. You can also fashion your own S-hooks if you don't want to go buy those from a paper clip, just undo a paper clip halfway. You can also fashion them out of a little bit larger gauge wire too. But she uses those to hang all of her necklaces. It also makes it really nice to display. Rose's second really favorite idea for organization is how she stores her earrings. And I thought this was really clever. She takes a hanger, a sturdy hanger, and she sews wide lace over the hanger. And then she puts her earring hooks through that, or you can put your posts right through that with the front and then go around in the back, and that holds your earrings in place. And then you can just hang them in the closet. It doesn't take up a lot of space. I thought that was really, really clever. Okay. All right, we will talk about bags, Ziploc bags, and anti-tarnish bags in just a few moments. I'll get to that. That's really one of the most important things when it comes to storing your findings. All right, let's go ahead and move on. So I want to show you the larger organizers that we have. And our wonderful Michael from video is going to assist me with that. He'll be handing me some different things. So first I want to show you this really great wooden organizer that's very, very multi-purpose. This one right here. Michael will hand it to me. Thank you, Michael. We sell a couple of different wooden organizers like this at Fire Mountain. And this one I really enjoy because it has these two long dowels here. And as you can see, there are pliers hanging on here. Imagine how many pliers that you can put along both of these dowels. You can have 2 entire rows. So you could have a ton of pliers and literally have them all at your fingertips with this organizer. I really, really like this. You can also put other things in this bottom tray. You can see we've got some spools here. There's different ways to organize with this. You can see we've got these great stackable bead containers here. They screw together. And you can make these into towers. And with an organizer like this one that we've got here, you can see that you could put towers of these all the way across if you didn't want to put pliers here. Or you can have a combination of both. So this is a really, really good tool. And then here you've got a spool rod that goes all the way across. And you can see that there are a few spools here. If you were putting AccuFlex on this, you could put a ton of the thinner AccuFlex spools on here too. And then there's another tray down here where you could put more tools or other things. There's also hooks on the front where you can hang. So this is a really, really great organizer. I really recommend this one. Okay, Michael, if you wouldn't mind taking that. I'm going to show you next the tackle box. This is one that we actually sell at Fire Mountain. And this is the one actually from my desk, so forgive the handwriting on the labels. I label everything because I like to be able to find things really easily. So this tackle box holds a ton of stuff. I actually have a couple of these. I'm only showing you one. I have one for findings, and then I have one for tools. And so I have a little bit combined right now, but you can see the top of this box has this really great little container where you can put tools that you want to reach really quickly. I cleaned it out a little bit, so there's not a lot in here. But just your quick access small tools. I usually have my jump ring tool here, some different things. So there's that. And then it opens up. Let's see if I can do it right. I'm trying to do it from behind. Okay. So it opens up, and there's a big open space for larger things. You can see I've got some hammers, a steel block, some different bowls, gloves, my tool magic, all kinds of stuff in there. But the best part about this tackle box, my favorite thing, are the drawers. So I am going to have Michael take this away. I'm just going to grab one of these drawers out. There are a couple. Oops, not that one. There we go. I'll have Michael take the box. Thank Michael. Thanks. Thank you. And so the drawers are really great on these. You can see that I've taken the little clips off because I don't really move these tackle boxes around. They just sit on my desk. If you want to move it around, leave the clips on. If you don't want to move it around, you can just take them off for easy access. But these are great for storing your tools. So I have all kinds of different things, files, scissors, sanding pads, my needles, different things. I label the outside so I know right what's in there. And then these little slots are positionable, so you can make them as small or as large as you want. You can see here, I could divide that very small and put really little things in there, or I could leave that whole channel open. They're very customizable. I love these. So that's great for tool storage. Then for finding storage, I really, really love these as well. I have all my head pins, my eye pins, that kind of thing in boxes like this. I usually have this off, but you can see that I use plastic bags. And so I put each kind of finding in its own plastic bag. I label it with the length and the gauge for the eye pins and head pins. And then another little tip is when you at home are buying findings, and if you plan maybe to sell your jewelry someday, put the price on the bag. That way you don't lose track of what you paid for something. It's a really, really nice way to do it. You can do it per bead or you can do it per unit, however you want to. But it's a great little tip. I want to talk about the plastic bags a little bit. So, you know, we hear plastic and we don't always get really excited about that these days because we want to be green and we want to be environmentally conscious. The reason that I love the plastic bags for sorting, especially findings and beads, is that you can reuse these for a really, really long time. If you're careful with them, they'll last a long time. And they come in all different sizes and they keep everything really, really nice and neat. So you have a 2x2 bag, this little one, and then they just go up. We've got a 3x3, a 4x6, 5x8, and they go way up. And we saw all these different sizes. And they can sort just about anything. I mean, if you have hard necklace findings, you know, and they're fairly large, you can put them in here. And then you can put them in another container like I had just shown you with this one to organize further. Rose's last little tip is that she loves to use these plastic bags. Say like this 3x3, she puts her beads and findings in there, and then she just uses a shoebox like you would get from a big box store or a dollar store. Just a plastic clear box that you can see through, and then she puts them all in there, and it really keeps it nice and organized. With the plastic bags, we also do have anti-tarnish plastic bags. Anti-tarnish bags are awesome because we all know that little things that are tarnishable, like our sterling silver, or even some of our plated metal, does tarnish. So if you don't want to have to put anti-tarnish material in with your beads and findings, you can buy the anti-tarnish bags, store in those, and that really, really helps reduce your tarnish over time. Now, if you don't want to do the anti-tarnish bags, or if you're storing a different way, we have tarnish strips. So anti-tarnish strips, I should say. You can look those up on the website. I'm sure Melissa can put that link up. So it's really, really nice to just throw a tarnish strip in with the materials, and it really helps reduce your cleaning of your tarnishable metals later on. Really, really nice. Hello to Francine from Quebec, Canada. So nice to have you here. Hi, Nicole. Question, how do you store waxed linen thread to keep it from drying? So my suggestion to you is to go ahead and just use a Ziploc bag. You can put a straw in the Ziploc bag, put all your material in there, zip it all the way up except for the straw hole, suck the air out and quickly zip it up, and that will help reduce how much air is in there to cause the drying. That's my best suggestion for the wax stuff. Kathy loves tackle boxes, so she can take it to the table and watch TV with the family. Yes, you don't want to be all by yourself while you're creating, so that's a great idea. Thank you, Kathy. Another Kathy says, great tip on pricing. Yeah, it's important to be able to price your jewelry properly if you're going to sell it. The whole purpose of selling your jewelry is to make money. And so knowing how much you paid for stuff is really, really important. Joyce uses empty shampoo bottles to store head pins. How clever. What a cool idea, Joyce. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, let's look at our other large organizers. Michael, if you wouldn't mind helping me out. So this one here, he'll go ahead and hand that to me. It's a little bit heavy. There's a lot of stuff in that. This is not something we sell. This is just a big box store find, but these are awesome. It's just little plastic drawers, and they hold a ton. Just label them, and you know, sometimes when you're putting labels on these guys, it's really, really tough to get them to stick. So you can see that we put the label actually on the inside of that box. So there's a little tip for you on labeling those. These are great for things that are just a little bit larger. And then the last one I want to show you is this, and I won't move it, I'm just going to point to it. We've got these great desktop jeweler's benches with all the different drawers in it. These are awesome because you can put a bench pin in there, and if you've ever needed to saw like sheet metal or something, or work on a ring, these are really, really handy to have if you don't have the space or the money for a full-blown jeweler's bench. These little portable ones are awesome. Okay, so next I want to talk about how to organize your findings and your beads. So we'll look at some of the different methods that will help you get organized with that. So the first thing I want to throw out there is this great little over-the-door hanger. This is just one of the like robe and coat hangers that you buy that goes over your door frame, and you have this on the back of your door, and you can put so many hanks of beads on these. If you have your beads in hanks, this is a really great way to keep them. Also, if you have non-tarnishing finished chains, you can put them on here as well. It's a great way to keep them. And this is just a local dollar store find, so real inexpensive way to do that. The next thing I want to show you is one of my favorite tips and tricks. It's just a dish towel, right? So there's a little twist though. I've got some elastic cord on here, non-rubber elastic cord. That's really important. Let me just point out that when you're storing metal that can tarnish, you don't ever want to use rubber bands at all anywhere, or anything rubber. Don't use rubber cement on anything. Rubber will accelerate the tarnish process greatly. So don't ever put rubber near your stuff. But I just have these little elastic ties, and I always use 2. And you'll see if I unroll this, all of my finished chain is in here. This is a really great way to keep your finished chain from tangling, to keep it neat. You can put a whole bunch of them. I could put hundreds of chains in this and they would be absolutely fine. I didn't put a lot for the video, but this is a really great way to keep your chain. And you roll it out, take out what you want, and then tightly you're going to roll it back up. And you want to roll it fairly tight. And the reason that I have 2 of the elastic bands on here is just to keep the chain from falling out either end or tangling. Also, if one comes apart, you have another one for insurance. So this is a really great way to keep your chains. Bulk chain I just like to keep in plastic bags. But finished chains, I don't like them to tangle. So this is a great way. Now, you can go to the fabric store or order online anti-tarnish fabric. Cut a rectangle like this, roll it up the same way, and then you have a tarnish-free system for keeping like your sterling chains. Really, really nice way to do that. Okay, so I want to look at spool keepers. So we looked at this one already. Okay, so this is a pre-made spool keeper. You could, instead of putting pliers here, you could put spools here and spools here. This would keep a lot of AccuFlex. You could probably put 16 to 20 rolls on there, a lot. But if you don't want to purchase something, let me show you something that I made for my own desk. I do have a lot of different AccuFlex. I kind of have one of everything that we sell because I use it a lot and I don't want to have to go get it all the time. So this is something, it's just a file keeper, like from an office supply store where you would put your file folders in there to hold them. So I just poked holes in the sides, got some skewers and cut them to length, put some just masking tape on the end to keep them from coming off, and I put all of my spools on there so it keeps them at different levels so I can see exactly what I have. Very easy to get them on and off when they run out. There's all kinds of things that you can do at home. Just get creative. Use your ingenuity. Okay. So let's see. Fran loves the towel rolling method. Thank you, Fran. I know, I love that too. It's so helpful. Chains were a problem for me for a long time. They get tangled and would really frustrate me. So that's what I finally came up with. Kathy is asking, will sucking out the air work for anti-tarnishing? You know, it might help a little bit, but the tarnish process is really, really hard to halt. I really recommend using an anti-tarnish strip, or even they sell anti-tarnish blocks if you have a larger container of sterling or tarnishable metal. You can put that in there and that'll really help reduce the tarnish process. You know, if you go into the department store and you see sterling silver in like a display case, they usually have an anti-tarnish block that sits in that display case that keeps them from having to clean it all the time. So you could try the straw method. Let me know how that works for you if you try it. I haven't tried that myself. Marla is asking, should I put a date on the beads and gems, or do they expire? You know, in the main, no. If you're talking like crystal or glass, they're not going to expire. There could be some natural things that eventually will go bad. If you have any kind of plastic, eventually they'll go bad, but it'll take a very long time. So plastic does get brittle, so plastic and acrylic over a long period of time, if you don't use it for years, it could become, you know, brittle and crumbly. But for the most part, your crystal, your glass, that kind of thing, your gemstones are all going to be very long-range use. How do you keep spools from unwinding? Oh, that's a really good question. So let me show you. You can see here I have all my different spools. So there is something called a spool tamer, I believe. So you can see my AccuFlex here. And there's this elastic guy on here. It looks like a bracelet. And it's adjustable for different sizes of spools. You can adjust out here, and you can see there's a little hole in the middle. So you just adjust this to the size of your spool, snap it over, and then you put the end of your spool, your AccuFlex in this case, I didn't do it right, through the hole. I can put it through the hole first. And then you don't have to remove it to take your AccuFlex off. You can just pull it. Awesome. This is a really great thing. You can use these for wire as well. So really, really good little tool. You just set that aside. Okay, let's keep going. So I want to talk about bead storage. Little beads are everywhere when you're doing jewelry. So there's some great ways to keep the beads in order. One is the plastic bags like we were talking about. You can use a little bag like this. You can put it in a tray or a box, put a bunch of it in there. It keeps them separate and neat. Now, if you want to go further than that, if you really want them more stationary and you don't want to have to dig around plastic bags, there are some other options. So one of my favorite things, you can see this stack here. Let me just grab a couple of those, are these great clear boxes with the vials in them. And you can see I've got a couple of different kinds of vials. I just wanted to show you that you can put different sizes in there. They do come with these clear plastic ones. I just label these with, you know, the size, whatever information I want to know about the product, but I can see around the labels and I can just at a glance see what I want from there. And then if I'm, you know, it just says 22 gauge or 20 gauge or 18 gauge or whatever it is. So it's really, really easy to find your stuff. And these come in a couple sizes. You can get this half size one here, or you can get the larger ones. These are actually from my personal desk. So there's one way to keep your beads and findings organized. We also have this little guy. which has the clear tops. If you have smaller things, these are a little smaller vial. These are also really, really nice. I do generally prefer the clear plastic one because when you close this up, you can't see it as well. But these are great for travel because these latch, and the clear plastic ones don't latch. So it really depends on, you know, what your use is, if you're going to be traveling around with them or not. This one is one of my very favorite types of organizers. This is what I use at home as an organizer like this. So you can see that it has individual containers and they snap. So if I want a bead that's in the middle, I just open up that one window, pour them out, and then I can put them back in with one of these little corner bead trays. Acts as a little funnel. And I snap it back together. This is great. It's portable. They don't just come undone. They're really nice. Another really good thing about this one in particular is if you'll notice, the bottoms of these are sloped. A lot of bead organizers, the inexpensive ones that you see, don't have sloped bottoms like this. They have little, real very squared bottoms. And so when you're going to get something out of there with your finger, it just slides right out really nice and neat. There's no corners to try and dig into. So there's that one. This is another really great one, especially for seed beads or small beads. You can see that it has all of these tall vials. Really, really enjoy this one. It's a very small footprint for a lot of beads. So I really, really like that one. Okay, I think that that's about it for that. I want to show you the trays. So these trays I use for a ton of things. At Fire Mountain, we have these all over the place. We use them a lot. They stack, so they're interlocking. And so if I have a project that I'm working on, you can see here, here's a project that I'm working on for one of our catalogs right now. These are all the different components that go in it. And I just gather up everything I want, put it in this tray, and then if I need to set it aside for a bit, I can just set it aside and stack it in a corner, and it's out of the way. And then I can label it. You can see right here. These trays are also great for tools. If you have tools that you don't need to access right away all the time, like these screwdrivers, files, tweezers, stuff like that, things that will fit in this profile, these are really great. You can put a bunch of tools in a small space. I really, really like these trays. They also have velvet pads. You can see under here is a velvet pad. I don't know how you can see it, but they are great for presentation. This is actually a professional tray. If you were to make jewelry and go out and take it to a gallery to show them or a store, this would be a great professional way to show it. So they're also very multi-purpose. Heidi uses chalk for anti-tarnish. Oh, that's really interesting. Heidi, I would love it if you would expand on that. Please throw in the comments how you do that and how that works for you. We'd love to know. I'm sure everyone would be love to come back and see you talk about that. Thank you, Heidi. Michelle is asking, when making wire wrap bracelets and wanting to keep them on a type of display to hang, what do you recommend? You know, I don't have an example of that right now, but for bracelets, there is a display that is like I think they call it a T-bar display. So it's a long kind of padded tube. You can get them in velvet or leatherette, I believe. And sometimes they're 2-level. Those are great for storing your bracelets, even when you're not selling them, just to have. I have a couple of those at home. If I make bracelets, I just put them all on there. It keeps them very nice and organized. What is a good dip for my pliers to prevent scarring your wire? Tool Magic is the dip for that. It's really, really lovely. I actually have some. One moment. So it's just this little jar. And you open it up, and it's it looks a bit like paint. And you just take your plier, pretend that's open, and you dip it in there and you pull it out really slowly. The slower the better. And it puts a really nice thin coat of a rubber or silicone type. I'm not sure actually what it is, but it puts a coating on your pliers that keeps you from marring your wire. It's lovely. It will wear out after a while, and you just peel it off. It comes right off, and you can dip them again. Okay. What is the best way to store large vintage brooches and other assemblage type jewelry? Brooches I like to put in a tray like this. So we're just looking at this tray. You can just set them in there. If you want to pin them on something, Rose's trick with the hangers and the lace would be fabulous for that. Really, really good. You can also take a piece of fabric, hang it from a hanger, put a weight at the bottom. You know, you can put like a metal rod, sew that into the bottom, and pin them on the fabric. That's also another way I've seen that happen. It makes a great display for selling them too. How do you store beads on strands? Yeah, you know, the beads, the hanks of beads like this, hooks are the best way. So this over the door hanger is great. And if you guys missed any part of the video, if you're coming in later, we're recording this so you can go back and watch it from the beginning. You won't miss anything. You don't have to use an over the door system like this. You can get some pegboard and make a pegboard frame and put that on your wall, put hooks on there and hang them from hooks. That's another great way to do it. Did you talk about the cabinet behind you yet? Oh, the big tall towers. No, I didn't talk about those. The towers are great. This is actually how we store in our storeroom. The jewelry designers here have a room that is, I mean, I call it the treasure room, right? It's where all the really fun beads and findings are located. We have just everything at Fire Mountain in this little room in trays like this. We don't sell these in particular, but I'm sure you could find them online. They are lovely, these towers. If you have a lot of material, they're really, really nice. And you can, they're just big open trays. Let me show you one. So it's just a big open space. You can get other containers and section it out, or if you have something large like this, you can just set it in there. They're really, really nice. Let's see. Do you have a video about pliers and tools? You know, we have all kinds of videos in our bank of videos. I'm going to go ahead and let Melissa, our lovely social media goddess, address that. She'll go on and show you some links to some different videos that we have available. So let's see. The last thing I wanted to go through were just some local dollar store finds, just some other ways to organize that I think are really interesting. So we have these little cups. I actually have these cups particularly on my desk. They're great for storing, you know, if you're working on a project and all of a sudden you find some stray beads, you can just throw them in there. Throw a little water in there. You can use it for a quench container if you're soldering. They're really, really great to just have a couple of these on hand. I really like them. They're a good size. These trays are the ones I actually have at home. I have a big rack shelf system and a ton of these trays. So I use these little 3x3 bags and put most of my beads in here. If they're larger beads or if I have a lot of them, I'll use a little bit larger bag. And this is what I put like all of my reds or all of my blues or all of my greens in. And they're great because you can stack them right on top of each other if you need to, if you don't have enough shelf space. And you can still kind of see through there what colors are there. And these are just a local dollar store find. These are great. If you're organizing your drawers, and you have longer tools, these are lovely. Another dollar store find. It's just a simple utensil organizer. It's made for the kitchen, but it's great for your tools. Another thing I wanted to show you, this is another system you can use for a little larger components. These are just these little inexpensive food containers that you can get. and they stack really nicely. You can put a tower of 4 or 5 of these on top of each other. And then last, I wanted to show you these. I love these containers. So when I had a jewelry business at one time, and so I had orders. People would send me orders, and so I'd get the paper order, and then I'd grab all the materials and have the different stages. So I would throw my paper order in here, or all my materials for the order, and I would just tape on the front the last name of the person. And these little guys, this is another dollar store find. You can also find them at hardware stores. They stack on top of each other really easily. And you can put a whole tower of these on top of each other. I've had them 8 or 10 high. And so put them on the floor of my workshop in a corner. And a ton of orders here. Or you can put different materials, different products. These have a really small footprint, less than a foot, right? And so you can have a bunch of towers of these, and it's a really, really great way to store your stuff. I just had to show you these because I love them so much. Let's see, does Fire Mountain Gems still mail out catalogs? Absolutely, contact us at customer service. We would love to send you a catalog, we do. Okay, I think we've gone through all of the tips, tricks, and hacks that I had come up with. I hope that you got something really great out of this. I hope it helps you in your organization, getting your space clear so your mind can be clear so you can really get into your creativity. Our next live is going to be January 22nd in 2 weeks. Please join us for that. Thank you so much for being with us here today. I loved bringing you this, and we'll see you next time.